Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the planet, around the world. My name is Greg Prescott from in5d.com and in5d.net. And you're tuned into a special StreamYard simulcast of spiritual rockers. Going to cover some spiritual people in rock and roll. And, their definitions of spiritual may not be the same as ours, but we're going to take a peek into it anyway and take a look. And then I'll be inviting in people. I've got a link below this video if you want to join in on the conversation. I'll be letting people in at that point. So just real briefly, though, I see there's on Telegram, I posted a video on the in5d Telegram channel, and I'll put a link in the chat right now to that. But on the in5d Telegram channel, there's a video where it says that there's a supernova that's about to explode this week, which is pretty huge news. When that happens, there's going to be all this energy that's propelled out, and eventually it's going to reach our planet. I'm not sure how long that would take, but it's just something of interest that I thought I would point out to everyone. I am on a ban from Facebook. My account was restricted. Let's see. Here we are. Yeah, this is my Facebook page. That only I can see this. Well, apparently you guys can see it now too. So my posts will be moved lower in the feed for the next 2 weeks. So that's what it is. So I'm shadow banned even worse than before. This is interesting. I have it on mute right now, but Joe Biden, on the same day, he had 2 different speeches, even though he's wearing 2 different ties. It's the same day that he made these speeches. And just look at these people. I mean, do they look the same? This is the same day. That guy looks more like John McCain. Yeah, so one of these, if not both, is either a clone, a doppelganger, who knows? And then with Nancy Pelosi, there's something up that's going on with her, because, I made a post on Telegram, and it's interesting because she's flying to Taiwan and China isn't happy about it. So I know that her plane had issues and had to land in Hawaii. And then Biden's administration, allegedly, according to CNN, there's your alleged, tried to persuade Nancy not to go there, which is more theater. And then a commentator for China's Global Times warned that if U.S. fighter jets escort Pelosi's plane into Taiwan, it's gonna lead to an invasion, and that the PLA has the right to forcibly take Pelosi's plane and any of the U.S. fighter jets down. And then that tweet was, Twitter deleted that tweet. I've heard stories about her plane's transponders were switched, and it's possible that this is a setup and Pelosi's unmanned plane, who knows what would happen to it. I think she's landed though right now, but there's a lot of really questionable things that are going on with Pelosi going there. And well, you make the decision yourself. I just don't trust anything that's going on with Nancy Pelosi. So that's what's going on in the world of theater. Oh, gosh. Hi to everyone that's joining us in chat. Galactic Fire t-shirts. First one in, Enval. There's my baby. Hello, my love. I love you. So, yeah, my beautiful wife. Hi to Selena and uh, Jenna and Von Craig. Nasa, Jana Graham. Just read something big is supposed to happen this week, but don't know what. That's interesting. Biden's body double is very ill too. Okay. Love hearing different intel from what you guys are getting. So that's awesome. Hi, Kelly. We got some people joining. Kelly's joining us from Facebook, as is Jana and Selena. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, it's been a while since I've been on. Yesterday I had sympathy pains for Allie. She's had some kind of stomach bug, that she's been dealing with for a while. And I had it yesterday, just basically last night into this morning, and it dissipated throughout the day. And I'm better now, much better. So good enough to come on here and do a video. Allie's getting better, and she won't be doing the weekly tarot forecast this week because of it. Maybe tomorrow if she's feeling better, but there's no guarantee, and we all understand. So get better, my love. We're all with you, and I'll continue to send you lots of loving, healing energy from myself and my posse. Actually, it would be our posse because you're my twin flame. So what else is going on? I'm going to talk about spiritual rockers, and I'll be bringing in whoever wants to come in and join us afterwards. I want to thank everyone who will be coming in. I see Rob is with me, and Sarah Randall's also down there waiting to come in. I'll be bringing you guys in a little while. But I'm going to talk about what rock and roll means to me, and I'm probably a lot of you. Because we all grew up listening to some form of it, whether you're a rocker or a country person or whatever. I mean, they all tie into each other at some point. I remember as a kid, I took guitar lessons. I was like 8, 9 years old, and I was taking guitar lessons from this big band orchestra conductor, Linus Houck. He lived at the end of our street. I'd walk down there and I'd take guitar lessons on my acoustic guitar. And he would teach. He was an older man. He was probably 60s. He's probably younger than that, but when you're 8 years old, somebody in their 30s probably looks like they're in their 60s. But I mean, shit, I'm 62 in October. That's probably what an 8-year-old would think. Hey, you look like you're in your 60s. Yeah, all right. Screw you, you little punk. But he gave me lessons. And, when you're 8, 9 years old, I knew what I wanted to play. I wanted to play Led Zeppelin. But how do you, as an 8-year-old, say, I want to learn bar chords, and I want you to teach me how to get distortion out of my guitar? Because it was shortly afterwards, he was teaching me all the root chords, like a C, D, G, all the basic stuff. And the root chords are all the chords that you play at the end of the guitar, right? Down here. And that's the basics. Everyone has to learn those. And then he taught me how to read music, which I forgot since then, but he would teach me like stupid things like Camptown Races, right? I don't know why I still remember that. I mean, even that would have been better if he had taught me harmonics with a dive bomb with a whammy bar. That would have been better. But no, I just learned that on basically my first acoustic guitar, which had nylon strings, and the strings were like that far away from the neck. Then my grandfather my mother's father bought me my first electric guitar and amp. And basically it was an amplified acoustic. The amp had no distortion to it, so I still didn't understand distortion. But my sister's boyfriend, David, had a Fender Stratocaster, and he had a little Fender twin reverb amp. And he was a drummer in a local band, and he taught me my first bar chord. And I was like so blown away with the bar chord. I'm like, wow, see, that's a G bar chord. It's the same as this, except that's a G power chord. Same thing. And then with the bar chord, all you do is just move it up like a fret or two. If I move this G up 2 frets, it becomes an A, which is this. So you can move that same thing without moving your fingers anyway, just moving them up and down the fretboard, and it gives you a different chord. So the first song I actually learned was Train Kept It Rolling. My sister's boyfriend, David, the drummer, taught me that. And it's all based on a bar chord. So that was my introduction to guitar. It took me a while. It took my sister's boyfriend's drummer's ability on guitar to teach me bar chords. And then eventually I learned scales and pentatonics, major pentatonics, minor pentatonics, Aeolian, Phrygian, all these different scales that are out there, and you learn how to play lead. And it's a progressing thing. But once you learn all that stuff, the root chords and everything, I mean, just the root chords alone, I mean, those chords are used in so many songs. For example, so we're looking at the G, C, G, or the D, C, G. Yeah, D, C, G. Skid Row, I Remember You. Knocking on Heaven's Door. Isn't that it? Somehow it's those chords, and I don't remember specifically how. Knock, knock, knock on heaven's door. Heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Yeah, something like that. Anyway. That brought me into, all that stuff. From that point forward, you can write music. You can write your own music. It's just a matter of improvising the chords and taking it into a different direction. Now, what I want to talk about today is the spiritual side of rock and roll, and then I'll be bringing everyone in. And there's an article that I wrote, and you can find it on In5D, and I've got a link to it down below. And we're just going to cover some of it here. Okay? So I'll do a screen share and we'll jump into that. This is a article I wrote in 2015, Spiritual Side of Rock and Roll. And we'll start out, John Lennon. A lot of people know of him, especially from his work in music, Imagine, which is a brilliant song, of course. But he's got a ton of quotes where, he expresses his spirituality, and, he's completely outspoken as a musician, and his beliefs in spirituality. He's not a big on organized religion, which, many of us are not either. Now, here's Steven Tyler. Whatever you want to believe, he was a self-proclaimed practitioner of Crowley magic. And this is a quote: "I've practiced Crowley magic, so I know it works." So I'm not saying that every girl I slept with came at the same time, or that I asked her to pray for the same thing I was praying for, namely that Aerosmith would become the greatest American band. This is interesting. Tyler even experienced elementals in the form of wood sprites. Hang on a sec. I'm going to get back into this in a second. I just want to get the right screen out there. Yeah, let's go with this one. Okay. So yeah, he was talking about sprites, right? Hang on. I can't find my tab. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, yeah, he goes on to say, "I saw this place in the woods where the sun was coming through, and I'm walking around with my slingshot at 9 years old. It was so quiet in there, I thought I heard something called the children of the woods. It was my first spiritual moment, and I've always been writing songs to try to get back to that moment." So he has this obvious connection to the planet and his natural abilities, stating, "I think I put together the beauty of Mother Nature and music, and somewhere in that, I felt the presence of God." Hendrix was another one that was just amazing. Hendrix went on to say, "I believed in myself more than anything." And I suppose in a way, there's also believing in God. If there is a God and he made you, then if you believe in yourself, you're also believing in him. That doesn't mean that you have to believe in heaven and hell and all that stuff, but it does mean that what you are and what you are doing is your religion. When I get up on stage, well, that's my whole life. That's my religion. My music is electric church music. If by church you mean religion, I am electric religion. So that's, also, this is pretty cool too. Hendrix was aware of other forms of intelligent life on the planet. He was convinced that in the near future, galacticians from outer space, from another galaxy of greater positive power, would come to help our planet, to help mankind in its struggle against evil. While explaining this, he drew to 2 points representing this higher power coming closer and closer towards our galaxy, the Milky Way, finally reaching Earth. I mean, you can read more about this in that article. There's a link down below. And here's Aerosmith's lead guitarist Joe Perry. He said that he experienced he had a spiritual moment in seeing a UFO for the first time, and so did Sammy Hagar, former Van Halen frontman. He's got several stories that are just out of this world, and you can find all the links to these stories too in the article as well. But he had this. He said when he saw the ETs, he said, "It was real," the rocker said. "Aliens were plugged into me. It was a download situation. This was long before computers of any kind of wireless. They weren't even wireless telephones. Looking back now, I was like, fuck, they downloaded something into me, or they uploaded something from my brain, like an experiment." So Sammy gets it, Mick Jagger has claims of seeing a UFO. So has John Lennon. For meditation, Metallica's lead guitarist, Kirk Hammett, is heavily into meditation and yoga. David Lee Roth, Van Halen, meditates. He also does martial arts as well. Paul McCartney, whichever one you want to call him, has been meditating for decades. Same with Sheryl Crow and Sting and Steve Vai. So, we're seeing a lot of spirituality in rock and roll. This was something too that I found really interesting, because I wrote an article on the same thing. Aerosmith's lead guitarist Joe Perry summed it up brilliantly during his interview with Joe Rogan. "I think my brain is wired different." So yeah, a lot of us feel like, we're wired differently. And I've got several, what, 30, it's an article, 30 signs that you're wired differently. So without any further, I'm bringing in Rob and Sarah and whoever else wants to join in. Hi, Rob. What's going on, brother? I can't hear you. Are you muted? Yeah. Oh, there you go. You're good. How are you? No, I still can't hear you. Your mic is unmuted, but I can't hear you. Can't hear you. While Rob's trying to figure that out, I'm going to post a link in here in the chat. If you guys want to join in. You're more than welcome to join us right here. Also, well, still can't hear you, but hopefully you get that worked out. I just want to remind you guys that our shirts are on sale. Buy 3 get 1 free at N5D Quantum Tie-Dye. So check that out. Leave a link for that below. And if you want to have an ad on N5D, now's the best time to do it. You can actually put an ad for $1 a day, and you can find out more about that right here. There's a link right there at n5d.us. For as little as $1 a day, you can advertise your web services or your social media pages, your website, your business products, videos, whatever it is you want to advertise. $1 a day at n5d.us. And I also have if you're looking to have a website built and you don't know how to build it, I can help you with that as well. Check it out here, free consultation. So I'm still trying to figure that out. Are you with us, Sarah?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What was your rock and roll indoctrination when you
My
first?
rock.
Yeah. What did you like listening to when you're a kid? What kind of music drew you in?
So I'm a child of the late 70s.
Okay. Gotta preface everything by saying that. So,
Right.
Donna Summer, what are you saying?
No, but as a
Bee
child, yeah, growing up in the 80s, my mother always listened to 70s folk music. So that's pretty much what I grew up listening to.
Freedom Rock.
Yes.
Yeah, like Bread, Cream, Carole King, James
All that.
Taylor.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yes. So I
Okay.
still love that kind of music. My dad was more into the heavier side, maybe the Doors and yeah,
Heavier Doors. All right.
a little
That's
bit,
okay.
yeah.
Well, that's much heavier than my parents. My parents were, I think the heaviest they got was maybe Glenn Campbell.
Right.
Oh God. No, they had Simon and Garfunkel. That was the heaviest they got.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Bridge
But
over troubled water. That's my parents' song from their wedding.
uh, I remember one time I was playing when Cheap Trick came out with that live album, Cheap Trick Live at Budokan. I was playing Ain't That a Shame, and I didn't realize that was a remake of an older song. And my mom comes out and she starts singing to it. I'm like, "How do you know the lyrics to this?" She goes, "Oh, I heard that song when I was a kid." I'm like, "Oh." So Yeah, it's interesting what we listen to as kids. I remember watching the Monkees on TV.
My father used to watch the Monkees on TV. I was a child and he would come home from work and he would put that on the television. And actually, the first concert that I ever went to with my mom and dad was to see the Monkees at the Van Wezel in Sarasota
Oh wow,
in the late 90s. Yeah.
wow. So your first concert was in the late '90s?
No, it was the first concert that I went to with my parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now you would have blown me away because the Hendrix opened up for the Monkees one time. Now, if you had said, "Yeah, the first concert I went to was Hendrix opening up for the Monkees,"
Right. I'm not that cool.
so what about Bo? What was his first concert?
Bo said he went to see Leonard Skinner with his older brother when he was only maybe 4 years old. He has an older brother that's 15 years older than he is, 11 years older than he is. So,
Skinner. Wow,
yep.
that would be cool. Yeah, I saw my first concert was 38 Special opening up for Huey Lewis and the News.
Nice.
Yeah, I went with my sister and her boyfriend, the guy that taught me how to play, the drummer who taught me how to play a bar chord on guitar. So
Right.
yeah, so that was cool. And unfortunately, neither are with us anymore. They've passed on, and
Okay.
which I'm happy for them both. Actually, at this point, good for them. Miss them, but yeah, it's part of the cycle of life, right?
Right. Forever in your heart.
Yep, yep.
My first concert in person was the Dave Matthews Band.
Okay, I can see you going to that.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah. What was the best concert you ever went to?
The best concert I ever went
Yeah.
to? Oh, I saw James Brown on his 70th birthday at the House of Blues in Orlando, and that was
Mhm.
probably the most rockin', most exciting, energy vibrant concert that I've ever been to. um, Les Claypool, he does a pretty good show. He's a bass player.
Mm,
Um, He's from the band Primus originally, but he plays on his own. Are you familiar
okay.
with that? No.
Nah, not really. No.
And then I've seen Roger Waters in concert a few times, and he puts on a spectacular show.
Hmm.
So,
I think the best concert I ever saw was when Guns N' Roses first came out, and they were opening up for Aerosmith, and it was fantastic. It was down in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and I went with the guys in my band at the time. It was fantastic. One of the best concerts I've ever seen. Also,
nice.
the Monsters of Rock was pretty cool in Philly. That was a bunch of bands: Metallica, Van Halen, Kingdom Come, Dokken, and somebody else I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been to Ozfest before too. I've seen Ozzy
Iconic, iconic,
Osbourne,
iconic.
Marilyn Manson, the
You went to
whole
Ozfest?
range. I've
Wow,
been to Ozfest, yes.
that's one I wouldn't think.
That's why I threw that out there. I figured you probably wouldn't think that, but yes,
Oh,
I
you're in points with me on that one.
have.
Wow. So you actually you saw Ozzy then
I
perform.
saw Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. Yep, the Black Sabbath original lineup. Yep.
I'm trying to think. How would you have dressed for that? Did you dress all rock and roll or did you dress hippie?
Doc Martens, blue jeans, belly shirt, Florida summertime,
All
sweating
right.
buckets, parking
Where,
lot,
where was that at?
Orlando.
Orlando. Okay.
It
Wow.
was in Orlando, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And that's an all day. That's a several day event, isn't that?
It was, I think, a 2-day event, but
Yeah.
I only went to the second day because that
Um,
was the people that I wanted to see. But yeah, that's a 2-day event.
mhm. Yeah. For everyone watching, I'll be doing a spirit chat tomorrow night, and it's going to be on your favorite spiritual teachers. So join in on that. Um, a bit of this and that is asking, "Where's Allie?" She's here. She's moderating, but she's a little under the weather still, and she'll be back soon. Hopefully, she's feeling better every day, and her and I both had. Oh God! Well, you too, Sarah. You've had whatever that bug has been going around. Took you what 3 weeks to get over?
3 weeks to get over it, and then I bumped into somebody who was sneezing with a runny nose, and 2 days later I had a sore throat, but I'm feeling much better. But it's
Oh,
just like my immune system is just fragile from it, and I'm slow to recover as it is. So
wow!
I'm just trying to keep my vitamin C is like up at 8,000 milligrams at
Oh
this
my gosh!
point.
Wow!
Way up. But yeah,
So you're taking it like every 2 hours then?
just about.
Wow!
So, but I'm glad to hear you're feeling better. But you said you had a little bit of stomach bug, huh?
Yeah, I felt nauseous. I had some chicken, and I made it myself. Maybe I undercooked it or something. Because what I ended up doing was I made it the first batch in the air fryer, and it came out perfect. And the second batch, I cooked it in the oven, and then when I was flipping it over, I'm like, screw it, the air fryer's open. I'll just cook the rest of it in the air fryer. Maybe it wasn't fully cooked when I did the second half in the air fryer, but yeah, I didn't feel well, and
Right.
it went into this morning. I still feel a little tiny bit queasy, but I feel much, much, much better than what I did yesterday. So it's almost like sympathy pains from Allie
Right.
experience
Yeah.
what it's experiencing. So, but yeah, that
Rob, are you? I think Rob's trying to speak, but we still can't hear him.
can't hear you, bro. Did you check your settings? Because if you go to your settings and click on audio and then click on mic, you'll see a bunch of different options there. Just choose the one that choose one that'll work.
The first time I came on StreamYard, I had a problem with my audio too. It was when we did the conference, and I had to unplug my microphone and go into my settings. That's right. There's also somebody named Chick Hicks that looks like maybe they're in the background trying to enter.
Well, I tried. Yeah, I
No?
brought her in, and then she disappeared instantly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened to her, but
Looked like Rob was prepared to even play his guitar a little
I
bit.
know. Okay, so yeah, if anyone wants to join us, here's the link. Posted it in the chat. Alexis is asking, is it because you're using earphones with no microphone?
Oh.
Yeah, whatever that thing was. You didn't get tested for COVID, did you?
I didn't. I don't do Western medicine. I do Chinese medicine, and I continued to ask the doctors if I should take the test, and they were like, "That we don't treat the way that American doctors would treat. It's not necessary." So I never tested, so I'm not a statistic on the little
Exactly.
PCR swabs. But
Does it matter whether you had COVID or not? You were sick. That's all that mattered.
right, right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I did. People ask me, did you get tested for COVID? No. Doesn't matter whether I had it or not. I beat whatever it was. I beat.
Right. And I stayed home because I didn't feel good and I wasn't out spreading it to anybody else. And I didn't find it necessary to go get a COVID test or any of those things.
Yeah,
If that
yeah,
makes somebody else feel better to know exactly what they have, that's fine.
yeah.
But in the way that I practice my healthcare with Chinese medicine, it's not necessary to have a definitive diagnosis and know the name of the virus that you're dealing with. And as a matter of fact, coronavirus has been causing upper respiratory colds for thousands of years.
That
So,
is true. Yeah.
yes.
Galactic Fire saying maybe we can post our concert pics of outfits on in 5D.
There you go.
I don't think I have many pictures. I used to go to this place called Binghamton, New York, uh, and I'd see a lot of concerts there. And they allowed you to bring in a camera. Back then, it was like those little Instamatic cameras and stuff. So they weren't the greatest cameras. So I got pictures, but it's not of me; it's of the band.
Right.
Like
We
one
all
time,
had great outfits for concerts, that's for sure. We just didn't have a lot of cameras.
yeah, yeah. One time, the guys in my band and um, I was in a band in Scranton, and we went to Philly to see ACDC, and then 5 days later, we went to see ACDC again in Binghamton, New York. So the same, it was the Fly on the Wall tour. So yeah, we were all big ACDC fans. So that was fun. That was one of my favorite concerts actually too. Was when it wasn't that one, but Yngwie Malmsteen, who a lot of people have no idea who he is. In my opinion, he's the best rock and roll guitarist out there, but well, one of the best. But he opened up for ACDC one time, and I love that because it was my two favorite overall guitarists. Yngwie for talent and Angus for showmanship. So it was a fantastic concert.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you often follow a band from town to town?
No,
No.
no. That time, they were Scranton, Philadelphia was only maybe a couple hours away or so or less from Scranton, and Binghamton was only like an hour away. So we're like, screw it, let's go see them twice.
Right. Right.
Back then, you could afford to because tickets weren't $300-400 a pop. Nowadays, it's crazy how much. Springsteen, I think the nosebleed for Springsteen was like 375 here in Tampa.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah. He's all woke anyway, so I wouldn't see him at
Yes, he is.
anyone that's woke. No.
Right.
Yeah. So what's up, Rob? Now you don't have any video. Alexis is saying that she looked like a Spice Girl from space when I saw Super Furry.
Cool.
Elaine's saying that StreamYard didn't like her microphone either. I'm not using my microphone at all. I'm just using my computer mic.
That's what I'm on too, just my computer's microphone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a cool concert. A bit of this and that. 38 Special and Night Ranger. Yeah.
1984.
How old were you in '84?
8.
Oh my. So you missed all the good Van Halen years of with
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. '84. I turned 24 in October that year. So yeah.
Yep.
Do you listen to any new music?
Not really.
What's the most recent thing you listened to?
Some like spiritual music, maybe Trevor Hall, Nako, Medicine for the People. I'm not really into any of the produced music that the teenagers are listening to.
Yeah. Well, and then you look at the videos that they put out. All these satanic messages that are in there, and the lyrics are crap
The
nowadays.
lyrics are terrible. Yes.
Yeah, it's well, even the art of playing guitar. Back, you know, it, at least for me, being a musician and a guitarist that played in hard rock bands, the leads back then were fantastic. Back in the '80s, fantastic lead guitarists. Now, I there's really none. There's one, this guy named Satchel on Steel Panther. He's really good, fantastic guitarist. But outside of that, that's it.
Right? Just lacking the talent that there used to be.
Yeah, the really cheesy leads. They can't play intricate any kind of intricate kind of solo. Yeah, it's just Tony says, "Have you been to a drum circle lately, Greg?" I haven't. How about you, Sarah?
I haven't, no. Mm-mm.
How long has it been since you were at the last your last drum circle? I heard
It's,
that.
yeah. It's been a long time. I think maybe 2017 I went to a meditation on the key and then the drum circle was happening, but that's just not really my scene.
No.
I love the beach and the sunset, but sometimes it can be a little too much for me at the drum circle.
Well, you always say, get a little sun for you or something like that. When was the
Yeah.
last time you went to the beach?
I went to South Lido 2 Sundays ago.
Because you got to be one of the whitest Floridians I've ever seen. You're like Casper White.
I am
Yeah, you were.
in the winter when I saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. I don't go to the beach too much because of that kidney problem I have. I have to like not get too hot, and so
Well, they just
really
had something like a beach warning, that the bacteria
bacteria in the
were up.
water.
Yeah, but they dismissed that warning.
Oh, did they? Then it was
Yeah,
only up for like what, a week or not even?
I guess you know I, since I had that virus, I haven't gone. I've been staying home and sleeping basically. I haven't been to the beach in 2 weeks until the other day when I videotaped the bunnies.
Right.
That's a sign of us being old. You didn't question me saying videotaped.
No, not at all.
Video. The 10-year-old would be like, "What videotape? The hell?
Right.
What do you mean videotape?" Well, I got my record player out and I.
Yeah. But yeah, I was at the beach 2 weeks ago on South Lido. It was very nice out. There was a thunderstorm coming in. I didn't think we were going to be able to stay very long, but
Do I
it.
have mic turned off on this darn thing?
Hey,
Hey,
there
I
you
hear
go,
you.
Rob. We can hear you. But we
Oh, you
watched
can
the
hear me now?
thunderstorm just cross the bay, and that was it. It was a beautiful day on the beach 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
we've been
But
slammed with a lot of nasty rain showers in the evening, but I guess we need it anyway, right?
yeah, we need it. It's so
Yeah.
hot.
Well, like I said, you can hear me. But
So I can hear you. Just gotta get your camera on.
oh, my camera's on. I just got it covered up
There
because
you are.
I didn't think my lady wanted to be on the PV.
All right. Well, I
I
guess
don't know what's.
we could all shut our cameras off if you want.
Now I had to bring in the expert.
Uh, say hi to your wife for us.
Hi, wife.
So what was it?
I just unplugged everything and just stuck the headphones into the slot, and then it started working.
All right. So where do you
I
want
don't know.
to join in? What was your first concert?
My first concert was in a park. I don't remember what my first concert was. There was so many of them up around that time, back in 68, 69. We had concerts all the time.
How old are you?
I'll be 70 at the end of this year.
Damn. So your first concert might have been like Mozart or Beethoven or something.
Just a couple guys banging sticks on logs. That's where I got my beat from.
What led you into playing guitar? Getting into playing guitar.
What was I doing? What now?
What led you into playing guitar? Why did you decide this is what I want to play?
Curiosity. I used to work a switchboard for this for some people where I used to live back when I was around 11 or something like 12, and he had an old Fender, and that was back in '65. And I'd worked a switchboard for a while they went to lunch, et cetera, et cetera. And he said I could go ahead and fiddle with his git fiddle. So,
Did you have an amp that went along with it, or?
oh yeah, he had an amp, but he wasn't teaching me anything. I was just piddling. I didn't know the first thing about it.
Fiddling.
I didn't learn that until junior high.
So you probably learned the same way I did with root chords, right?
Yeah, there was a couple of guys that had wanted to start a little band, and there was only three of us at the time. And I told them, I said, I ain't got the slightest idea how to do anything. And they wrote down the basic chords for me. He handed me his old guitar, which, I think he had steel strings on it at that point in time. But like you, the strings were almost a quarter of an inch above the fret. So that was a lot of work.
Yeah, I think we've all had guitars like that at some point that are just like, yeah, you got to press down really hard just to play it. But I'll tell you what, if you can learn on an acoustic guitar that has strings high off the fret and get halfway decent on that, you'll be really good on a good electric.
Yeah, I gonna say you get on that electric after practicing with that thing, and it's like, putting a hot knife through butter.
It's like practicing on a billiard table and then going to a bar table. And it seems so much easier.
You talking about snooker as far as snooker goes, or just a regular bit? I used to go out and play snooker for about 2 or 3 hours. I used to go play snooker for about 2 or 3 hours before I'd go out partying at night, and I'd hit the bars, and it was just like taking and throwing a ball into the Grand Canyon.
Couldn't miss.
No, there's no way.
I would do the same thing. We had these billiard tables at our college, and I'd go there and play for a couple hours, and then we'd go down to the bars on these little, 6-foot tables. It's too easy.
Oh, way too easy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I never let anybody know what I was doing either.
Well, we used to play for drinks. A buddy of mine, because in Oneonta they usually play doubles. So this one guy that was on my pool league team, we call him Shoes. He and I would, play the college kids because where we were was in a college town in upstate New York. And we'd play the college kids for drinks, and we'd end up getting hammered for basically nothing.
Oh yeah. Last time I actually played, the guy got upset over a quarter. No, it's 50-cent table and a dollar bet. But I'd already played him a couple of times before, and he beat me. And I heard him tell his buddy, "Oh, I played this guy before. I had him off the table in a minute. Don't worry about it. You're up next." Well, he broke, and that was the last shot he got.
You ran it.
I ran it off.
Mm-hmm. Galactic saying that she taught herself how to play the Star Spangled Banner in 2000. Other than that, I know the easy version of Dream On. Okay. I don't know what that easy version is. The regular version is kind of tricky, though.
First one I figured out was Peter Gunn.
Used to know that. God, forgot it. Yeah, that's it. It's been a while on that one. God, it's tricky though. Yeah, Dream On. So, what was some of the first songs you learned how to play on guitar?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the first one I piddled around with and figured out before I got with the guys was Peter Gunn. That was it. Don 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 don.
Okay.
There's only one one
Oh yeah, you
string.
could do that. You could do that on the E string.
That was it. Oh yeah. Well, a lot of it was Beatles, Creedence Clearwater Revival. You know, you've got Smokey Robinson, different top tunes back in that time era. As a matter of fact, now that I've gotten back into it, now for the past couple of years, also I'll be playing something. I said, "Wait a minute, I know that one," and I was playing another darn song, and all of a sudden I'm saying, "Oh, I remember that one," and then I just pick up on it. But I've
Do you
forgotten
find,
most of those.
do you play by ear or
A lot of the
tablature
time,
or read the music?
I ain't got totally into the tabs yet because they didn't have them back in. There's certain markings that I'm not understanding, but it's a lot easier.
There's
Mostly,
this guy.
mostly I just make my own stuff up.
Mhm.
But I do sit here and play along with different recordings of songs I liked back in the day.
The guy BK Shyster used to be the drummer in my first two bands, Caliber and Rage. So, yeah. What's going on, Brian? Oh, I just saw a knoll running across my window back here. It's little lizards. We're being we're being spied on by the reptilians.
Well, you're familiar with classical gas, right?
No,
The song.
no.
Well, classical gas was very popular back then, and I was learning it when I went in the Corps and tried to keep up with it. Just couldn't do it. Yeah, pull up classical gas. You'll love it.
Classical gas. Write it down.
If you want a challenge, it's a challenge.
Yeah, actually, I was watching a video on Robert Johnson earlier today. And they say that he was a blues player back in the early 1900s. And they said he was just a mediocre player, but he went away for a year, and they said that in that year he sold his soul to the devil, and when he came back, he was writing and performing music that people had never heard that style before. He became all of a sudden this from mediocre to savant, basically, and people couldn't believe the transformation that he did. And the legend is that he sold his soul to the devil to become famous. And of course, he died at the magical age of 27. And you see all these other musicians that had died at the age of 27, and it makes you wonder, did they also sell their souls?
Don't sound like too good of a deal if you're only going to be famous for a couple of years, then you're gone. I mean,
No, no, not at all. Especially for an eternity in hell. No, I'll pass.
well, my thing is, and I tell myself even when I start getting a little bit why can't I remember these? What's wrong? Trying to get my coordination back.
Hmm.
I just sit there and I sit there and I say to myself, all that knowledge, you've got every bit of that knowledge, you've got the coordination, every bit of it is right here. All of it. All you've got to do is find it and unlock it. And it's all there.
It's all there, and then some, and stuff that's been untapped.
Right.
I was thinking about that today. Because we're always looking at, okay, I got to learn this scale and that scale. Why not make my own scale? Why not make something that sounds really cool to me, and let other people say, hey, what scale was that? Right?
So people ask me, what chord are you playing? I says, I ain't got the slightest idea what chord I'm playing.
Hmm.
And a lot of times I still don't know what chords I'm playing.
The man, Robert Johnson, indeed. Yeah. I was listening to some of Robert Johnson's music. He only recorded like 27, 28 songs. Wow. It's really impressive. And, some of the lyrics that he has in there, he talks about, it makes you wonder if he sold his soul to the devil, because he talks about, putting this powder in front of the door to keep away the dogs from sniffing him out, and kind of like witchcraft kind of thing. And I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But man, he was talented. Whether you like the blues or you don't, as a musician, I think you can appreciate almost any genre as long as there's actual music being played instead of sampling.
Yeah, most of the people hear my stuff, they just look at me like, what did you just say? In other words, there's metaphors in there, there's this, that, and the other, and like, I found a cloud awake this morning, looking for something to feed my mind, and they'll look at that and they'll sit there on those two lines, trying to figure out what I'm talking about. I like it.
So it's kind of like ambiguous almost, or it can be interpreted in multi different ways.
Oh, all kinds of you can people can at least a lot of room for interpretation.
Brian's saying that Jimmy Page is the perfect example of really selling your soul. Yeah, he was heavily into the Aleister Crowley magic. I think he ended up buying Aleister Crowley's house. Brian, there's a link in there. Join us. Join us on StreamYard. Yeah. Hi to Debbie Hempele and everyone else who's joined us. Alexis. The loss of innocence. Yeah, I love music. I listen to a lot of different styles. My parents were big into you know
Lawrence Welk.
no classical music.
That's good too.
My one of my favorite albums that they would play would be Andre Segovia and John L. Williams playing Bach renditions on guitar, and it was so frickin' amazing. Yeah, Bach on guitar by Andre Segovia and John L. Williams. Some of the most beautiful music you'll ever hear.
Well, I used to have a whole lot of albums, Bach, Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, etc., all on 78s. I used to play them on the 78.
Wow,
thing.
78s.
If you get hit with one of them things, it'll knock you out.
They're heavy. My parents had some 78s. Yep.
You ever get that? Somebody will be asking you about something, you might be piddling around or playing something, all of a sudden they ask you about the song, and you can't remember who People ask me about groups and this, that, and the other, and I can't tell them. I says, I just listen to music. I don't care who it is.
No, I'm pretty
I'm
good
not a
at when it
fan.
comes to groups. Yeah, I remember that stuff.
I
Yeah,
got seen there, Beatles and Zeppelin and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I've gotten, I ain't paying attention to them anymore hardly.
Alexis is saying that the 27 club were all wanting to tell the public about the reptilians, so they had to go. Well, you look at the music industry and you look at the crap that they put out. Like, it seems like every Super Bowl, there's always, some kind of heavily laden satanic messages that they're pushing out there. And it seems that, like, that's the direction. What I covered earlier was a lot of the spirituality in rock and roll, but it seems like it's more towards Satanism and Luciferianism, pushing that negative agenda so they can be ultimately the false idols that will distract and lead the younger generation into a direction that's really not good for them.
So you get these automatic warnings. I'll hear some songs and I won't hear but a couple of words out of it, and it's gone. I listen to oldies stuff most of the time, but a lot of this newer stuff is like you were saying. You start listening to it, and it's junk. It's garbage. Most of it.
Yeah, it is. It sounds, a lot of it sounds the same, repetitive or just canned kind of crap, regurgitated and wrapped into a different product.
Yeah, everybody talks about heavy metal. I says Black Sabbath was heavy metal.
They
Iron
were one of the
Butterfly and a
founders.
few others.
They were one of the founders of heavy metal. Black
Yeah,
Sabbath, Hendrix,
but
Led
they
Zeppelin.
don't sound anything like this junk. Don't compare. The new stuff don't.
There's,
Oh, right there on the
there's
left.
yeah, right there.
You're right.
Got the reptilian trying to sneak in on us right now.
He's eavesdropping.
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day, the stuff that they have now, like that death metal, I don't like that. With that kind of voice, I don't care for that. I like the kind of voice in hard rock that is melodic, like the singer of Steel, oh, not Panther. Oh no, I forgot the name of the band. It's not White Lion. I don't remember the, like one of their songs was called "I'll Never Let You Go," where he hits this amazing high note. I'm typing it in right now. Steelheart, that was the name of the band. Steelheart, the lead singer of that band, has got this voice that can hit so many different ranges. He has one of the most powerful voices, and it's melodic too. So, you can understand the lyrics, which is a nice thing, versus some singers where you really can't understand anything.
Yeah, I was piddling with some Deep Purple yesterday, I think it was. I just find those songs that I like back in, and I'll sit there and I'll piddle with them. There's so many questions in my head about lead. I got the chord thing pretty much down packed, but when it comes to lead and putting those things together, I just get confused.
Well, that's one of the things. Remember,
Mark on the water.
So basic, but that was like
Right.
something that you wanted to learn. Another one was this one. School's out, right? Another one. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Alice Cooper. There were so many great guitar riffs. You know, Walk This Way. Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum-bum. You know, the guitar riff is just what gets me as a guitarist. When I hear a really cool guitar riff, School's Out. Bum, ba, bum, bum, ba, bum, bum, ba, bum. It's that guitar riff that sells me. And I don't hear anything else. I like the melody of the lyrics, but I'm not even paying attention to what the lyrics are saying. As a guitarist, I'm just listening to that guitar and that melody and
Right.
trying to figure out what the chord progression is and where they're going next, and then the leads and all this. So, do you do
Well,
that? Do you get
like
hooked on?
Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and a lot of them. I'll start the song and I'll go straight from that point right to where the lead starts, and I'll sit there and I just listen to the lead.
Right? Yeah, yeah. So you bypass the lyrics, right?
Well, some of those that you're doing, a lot of that stuff. I was incarcerated for 4 years, Marine Corps. So I was kind of out of it for. Took me a while to get back into it. But you're right. I find a good riff going,
Yep.
and I'll sit there and I'll try to figure it out.
Suzanne Marcella is saying this is a good example of somebody with a great voice that you can hear and has an amazing range. Jeff Tate of Queensryche. Yeah, totally agree, Suzanne. Good example. Um, yeah, so the guitar riff for me is what sells me. And you don't hear that nowadays. You don't hear those great guitar riffs anymore. And that's probably why I fell out of today's modern music.
Well, from what I can gather, it's all power chords. It seems like nowadays it's just a boom, boom, boom of power chords. They just beat down on it and go with it. So that's another thing I'm having to learn what power chords are, and I don't really
Really?
care. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know what power chord. I never even heard what a power chord was until about a few years ago when I started playing again.
like the G power chord. Let me see if I can get that. Can't get that into the screen, but that's the G power chord that's I'm doing. I mean, it's really not much.
Just
ACDC, you shook me all night long. Power chord, G
yeah.
power chord.
I remember see back when I had to pick the needle up and move it back again, and then when you get to hear it again, I had to pick the needle up and move it back again.
Yep,
they
yep.
didn't have they didn't have all that darn stuff, fancy stuff they got nowadays.
That was horrible for the record.
Oh, wasn't it?
Yep,
By the time you get finished learning it, you got to put a penny on top of the needle in order to keep it from skipping. Or
I've done that. Yeah,
when you
but
get
then,
to the nickel, it's time to buy a new record.
well, even worse would be 8 tracks. How do you rewind on an 8 track articulately, especially when it goes in between that, the song goes from one track to the next. You're trying to get
You get
15
in there and
songs.
you get your pencil in the back of it and you rewind it and then put it back in.
See, you could do that with a cassette. You rewind it and you get that point down pretty
Hmm.
quickly. But nowadays it's simple. You can sample whatever you want and loop it, 100 times if you want to get it down where you can practice. You can slow it down. to a quarter speed or whatever, and hear each note individually being played.
That's my one pedal. I got a looper pedal down there. I
Hmm.
ain't figured out exactly how to use it yet, but
Oh, they're
totally.
fun. I had a Boss pedal that did looping on it. Oh gosh! So what you do is you and I would do that to Back in Black. Bow, 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 and that would be my loop. It would just play that over and over, and then I just play leads to the loop.
Yeah, I've gotten that far.
Yep.
I know I need a microphone if I'm going to do anything else as far as that goes.
Hmm.
But it helps out putting the lead. You get your rhythm. So I come up with one of these songs I write, I put the rhythm in there, and then I'll listen to it, and I'll try to get my lead into it, because at least I've got something to. I got my rhythm going now. I can see if I can get some lead to it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Rob, I think we're going to wrap it up here for the evening. I want to thank you for jumping on here and finally, well, getting your stuff to the point of where you can come on, and hopefully you'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to do a spirit chat tomorrow night on spiritual teachers. So
Check out, check out Classical Gas.
I
You'll love it.
got that written down, definitely. um, so yeah, before we go, I just want to once again remind everyone to check out N5D Quantum Tidal, where we have a sale going on. Buy 3 get 1 free. Just use the code LOVEN5D at the checkout, and got some new shirts that I just came out with. This is the Quantum Water Element. And Brian Chapman, you have a shirt coming your way. There's Brian right there in North Syracuse. Yeah, that's getting mailed out on Monday, brother. So thank you for your purchase. And these are some of the new shirts that we have coming out. I love this one, the Beautiful one. There's lots of great patterns and styles. So check it out at n5d.net. Also, if you have a service, or like I said, your service website, social media page, event, business, products, videos, go to n5d.us, and there's a link below where you can check that out, and you can place your ad for as little as $1 a day. So definitely check that out. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on N5D for the spiritual rock conversation. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And on behalf of Rob and Sarah, who was here earlier, I want to also tell everybody, if nobody told you this yet today, please allow me to be the first. You are loved. You are appreciated. Thank you for your service to humanity. So on behalf of Rob and Sarah, I'm Greg, and we're all sending you all infinite love and light. Namaste, everyone.
Everybody be safe.
Thanks.